family thing since 1939.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com. This is WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on WURD Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chris Murray Report on WURD Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about this week, of course. The Sixers draft. We have the Eagles who have a game in Cleveland on tomorrow, and we got a little boxing to talk about today because I want to talk about the fight that we saw last week between Terrence Crawford and Kell Brook. Wow, 4th round knockout. I'll get into that in a moment. Lots of things going on in college football. Of course, more cancellations and postponement of college football games due to COVID-19, which begs the question with me, as always, why are we playing this in such a terrible pandemic, and is getting even worse in terms of, they do have a vaccine. That's the good news. They have a couple of vaccines that are out there, but because of the presidential transition mess and transition nonsense, that's going to be delayed. And so there's going to be a lot of things going on. How that affects the sports world, we will definitely be on for the rest of the year. So we'll be looking at that. The Sixers made a couple of interesting trades and free agent signings. They did a good job, I thought, of trying to get guys who could score. Jordan, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome today my producer, Jordan Booth. Jordan, how are you today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Man, I'm hanging in there today, man. I have to, like I said, Denise and I are doing after the show, I got to do like a photo shoot. That's why I'm all dressed up. That's why I got the hat on.
There you
got
go.
The bow tie and all that.
Yeah, you look fresh.
Well, thank you. And then I shaved the beard this week. I had the beard sheared and whatnot because I promised Denise that when we start taking photos, our engagement photos, we're getting married in January, by the way.
Oh, that's what's up.
Depending upon thing with COVID-19, I mean, we've changed the date several times because of COVID. So we're going to do that. But that's one thing. But so what did you think of the Sixers draft choices? What did you think of their draft choice? And they picked up a couple of free. Really, the thing is, the Sixers got some key free agents: Dwight Howard to back up Joel Embiid. You got Seth Curry.
That's what I'm excited about.
45% from 3-point range. That's right. What you're excited about.
Exactly. That's right. You're kind of getting a little dose of Steph Curry right there, a little bit.
Yeah, a little dose. He ain't his brother.
Right.
Little dose. We can accept a little dose.
Yeah.
Of Seth Curry. A little dose. 45% from 3. Danny Green's also a pretty good shooter.
Yep.
I mean, he's a veteran. Maybe he fits with this team. But you saw the need that this team has for sure. I think everybody's hoping that they get James Harden because Daryl Morey, who was the GM down in Houston. I don't know if that's possible. I mean, and would he fit on a team, that already has Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons? I mean, but they need. Yeah, that's an interesting question. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to answer that question for me, you want to let me know what you think about it. 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. I'll be talking about this today at the bottom of the hour at 11:30ish with Jack McCaffrey of the Delaware County Times. I'm going to be talking to him about the Sixers, really Eagles and Sixers. Eagles, boy, they stink up the joint last week. Boy,
my goodness.
Whoa, man. I mean, the thing about it, they made Daniel Jones look like, I don't know, Lamar Jackson from last year.
You got that.
You got that
right.
It was almost like watching, I wrote I kind of trying to remember what I wrote because that's how bad the game was, and I was just basically saying, Eagles, shoot themselves in the foot. It's the same story.
Yep, the usual.
It's the same old. They're running out. This week they're going to have their offensive line pretty much intact. You got. I think the right tackle position. I don't think Lane Johnson's coming into play this week. But, you're getting guys back and healthy. You got Miles Sanders. And I have to ask, I mean, are they using – I don't think they're using Miles Sanders as often. He should be giving Carson Wentz his struggles. Given his struggles, he should be the centerpiece of this offense right now. He should be – they got to get the ball to him all they can. Keep the pressure off of Carson. Because right now, Carson Wentz, I suspect, is pressing. Didn't have a turnover last week, but didn't really do anything to affect the outcome of the game either. And so he got sacked a few times, got sacked 3 times, and, just didn't – he didn't turn – the good news is he didn't turn over the ball, and that's only for the second time this year out of the 9 Eagles games that they played. He has turned the ball over in 7 of 9 games. You can't have that. You just can't. You can't have your quarterback turning over the ball. The thing is, that's why Jameis Winston, to this day, is holding a clipboard in New Orleans. Although some people, and that's another story, in that he is not going to start. The Saints are going to play Taysom Hill. I think that's a mistake. I still think that that Jameis Winston can still play quarterback in his league. And I'm wondering how much that sitting on the bench helped him see certain things that maybe he wasn't seeing while playing. But, black quarterbacks rarely get that shot, really, to prove themselves, even after they struggle. Because, black people got to be able to be perfect, or we can never, ever in this life be a work in progress and all that. So that's one thing. So now December 5th, we're getting close to the date. A few weeks from now, Danny Garcia, North Philadelphia's own, will be fighting Errol Spence Jr., who basically right now is coming back from an car accident, and he wants to make the argument against the Danny Garcia that he is the top pound for pound fighter. Now Danny Garcia, on the other hand, I think that he wants to prove himself because I think after the loss to Keith Thurman, some felt that he kind of came on late in that fight. But I think at the end of the day, I guess Thurman won a decision. And so I want to see what Danny Garcia is going to look like in this fight. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try, if I can, to I'm going to work a few contacts, try to get him on the show, get his daddy on the show to talk about as that fight comes up in about 2 weeks. Okay, so that fight is on its way. So, and I'm sure that I think everybody's all geared up and he's in training and all that. So we will see what's going to happen in that fight. Now, last Saturday, if you were watching the fight Saturday night, Yow, bam, boy, Terrence Crawford. I've been somewhat skeptical. I've watched him for a few fights. I'm like, okay, he's good and all that. I'm not, but Terrence Crawford can make the argument, can legitimately make the argument that he is the best pound for pound. Now, I think Saul Canelo Alvarez has something to say about that, and maybe down the line, other guys have something to say about that. Teofimo Lopez, Javante Davis, and some other guys may have some, there may be some validity that they're the best pound for pound fighter. But what I saw, let me tell you what I saw. Probably the best thing I saw this week in terms of boxing. What I saw was Kell Brook, came out. He came out, he had the left jab working, and he was. I think I gave him the first 2 rounds. It was almost like kind of like the Davis fight, Javante Davis fight against Leo Santa Cruz, where I thought that the challenger came out pretty good, and then all of a sudden it was as if Crawford downloaded all of Kell Brook's weaknesses or something and all that. He started off fighting an orthodox style, but then he switched to southpaw. And once he found the range at southpaw, he threw that right, bam, knocked him into the ropes, and basically the ref had to hold Crawford back so he could do the count, because basically the ropes held Brook up, right? So what happened? So they say let referees, okay, let him keep fighting, and it was just, and then it was like the Sugar Ray Leonard, and the ref said, nah, man. It was almost like, nah, man, we gotta stop this. And Kell Brook was like, no, please stop, don't hit me no more. It was like that. I mean, not that now I'm just exaggerating, man, because the guy has a lot of heart. But it was just like the ref said, nah, man, bro, you gonna kill this man if you hit him even further. That was a devastating knockout. I mean, he didn't knock him off his feet. See, this is why I've always said years ago that the Leonard Hearns fight to me will always be a draw, because you ain't got to knock a guy on the canvas to really rough him up and whatnot. You can I believe you can win 10-8 round if you just dominate and just had the guy staggered. You can knock a guy down on his feet, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. Okay, but then again, Fishman might tell me otherwise. We got Fishman from University City. What's happening, man? Fishman.
Yep, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
Go ahead, man. Lay it on me, bro.
Hey. Bud Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing? This morning?
I'm doing great, man. I was just talking about that fight. I mean, it was devastating. It was just like bam, bam. It was brutally efficient. That's the thing that got me about that fight. That it was brutally efficient.
But to boxing fans, we had Javante Davis last week, and we had this fight this week, and then I think next month we have Earl Spence
Garcia
and Danny Garcia. I mean, fight fans should be happy.
No doubt about it. I mean, boxing. I hope that boxing, because as much as people like UFC, and I'm not going to, especially if there are any UFC guys out there, please don't hurt me if you see me. But the thing is, I think American public loves boxing. We love boxing more than we like to admit. But and I think that if the promoters are smart, you know what? You keep playing. You know, let them fight it out. Let them box it out. Let the best fight the best. I mean, what do you think of that?
And that was back in our day.
Yeah.
How it goes: the Hearns, the Leonards, the Alis, the Foremans, the Frasers. What a rush!
I mean, we forgot guys like Kenny Norton and Ron Lyle. Although some people argue that Kenny Norton might have won that fight, but those guys fought each other. Those guys, they got in that ring and they didn't, they did their thing. So, you're right. But I'm glad to see, and as a person who has made his living in Philadelphia and all that, I'm kind of rooting for Danny Garcia, although Earl Spencer's a bad mofo, in my opinion, And
we will see, but I think Earl Spence will pull it out. I'm saying it early.
Right.
Give me your situation on the Philadelphia Pigeons.
Oh, so the Philadelphia Eagles, they remind me of a band that just doesn't play well together. Or they haven't been. And in defense of, say, Carson Wentz, he hasn't had his weapons. He hasn't had a good offensive line. Now he's going to get that this week. He's got some of the guys back. So, but he still has to play better. And especially against a team like the Giants, he, to me, still holds the ball too long, still kind of, makes bad decisions with the ball, and he gets sacked. So, but the thing is, I got to see how he works through all this. So, but they're not going to beat Cleveland tomorrow, no. I don't think so. They're not beating Cleveland.
Okay, let's move on to the 76ers. Give me your how they did and how you feel about today's 76ers.
I feel a little bit better, but it still remains to be seen. I mean, will Seth Curry shoot from 45% from 3-point range? Can Danny Green be a consistent shooter for this team? He's about 33 or 34 years old. These guys need shooters. That's the first thing. And I think that they can. And then this kid. Tyrese, let me get this guy's name. Tyrese Maxey and whatnot. I think that he can. I think he can be a contributor to this team. I don't know the Tyrese Maxey. Yes, Tyrese Maxey. He wants to prove that he was only like 29% from 3-point range at Kentucky, so he's not a long range shooter. But it remains to be seen will he fit in the lineup. I think Zaire Smith is still with the team, and I think that there's a lot of people who are jockeying for position. You just signed Dwight Howard to back up Joel Embiid. I think it's a good, but I gotta see. I don't like to make I gotta see what it looks like. I gotta see what it's all about.
Okay, finally, I'd like to throw you a straight one about going 100 miles an hour. This week or this month is Bruce Lee's 80th birthday. Give me your perspective. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much. Bruce Lee, oh my God. I'm going to tell you something. If you grew up in the 70s like I did, Bruce Lee, I remember we had a book fair at my elementary school, and every kid was fighting to buy all the books on Bruce Lee. Anything with Bruce Lee. I go to the store, and there's Bruce Lee, and everybody. I'll tell you a little story. Me, my brother, and his best friend, we saw one of the kung fu movies where the guys were like, pounding their fists into some hot coals. We actually tried that. Didn't work out well. We tried to do because that was I would say he's probably the one non-African American who had a huge impact upon black culture. I mean, I'd probably have to argue that in intellectual circles, but the thing is that he had just this tremendous impact. I mean, everybody was like, I mean, it was almost like he had a cult-like following. I think I sat through when in the days when you could go to the movie, see Jordan, when you were young. See, you should have been around us. See, when we were young, we would go to the movie theater. And you could buy you buy a ticket for about 75 cents, $1.50, $2, right? Mm-hmm. And if you were there, if you were slightly late, you could kind of sit there and watch the film up until the part you missed, or you could watch the whole film all over again. Because they didn't bother you. They didn't catch it. They didn't.
That sounds like a good deal right there.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Let me get a couple. Let me try to get some calls in before we get to the break. Steve from we got Richard from North Philadelphia. Richard, how you doing, man?
How you doing, Chris? Man, what's up? Yeah, Chris.
Man,
about last Sunday, did you see the game between Buffalo and Arizona about the Hail Mary catch that was made in the end zone by DeAndre Hopkins? With only few
I was watching that game. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something, man. I first of all, I will admit this. I don't normally do this, because I do cover the NFL, but I'm gonna get Kyler Murray's jersey. That's only because his last name, because my last name is Murray, and that's the only way I'll do it, because that's my last name. But I still like that kid. I was watching him against Russell Wilson the other day. It was just little guys. See, they're my height. They're my height and everything. And I like to watch those guys play. But that game, that was just a tremendous play.
Yeah,
and he has a strong Kyler Murray has a strong arm, baseball arm. He's a baseball player. So he has that strong baseball arm, and DeAndre Hopkins, and I know somewhere Deshaun Watson is sitting in his office. I bet he was watching that game, and I think he's still pissed off, behind that, because they should never have traded him. Houston should never have traded him. Never.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know why.
I don't know why. Well, listen, you were just on about Bruce Lee a few minutes ago. I like Bruce Lee movies, myself growing up. I grew up in the 70s, too. I was born in 59. I've seen his movies. But there was one other person, Mark, that I liked. Remember Jim Kelly?
Oh, Jim Kelly, yes.
Three the Hard
Black Belt Jones.
Jim Kelly, yeah, Jim Kelly, the black man, the Usher, Black Belt Jones, and Three the Hard Way when he beat up. Yeah, how about him? You don't hear too much about him lately. He didn't get quite the breaks that Bruce Lee may have gotten, but Jim Kelly really stuff. Yeah.
Oh, Jim Kelly was a bad man. I got mad though in Enter the Dragon that they killed off Bruce Lee. Come on. I think that Jim Kelly could have beaten Han if Han didn't have an iron fist. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That he didn't cheat and everything. So, I thought I got mad when I was a kid. I got mad at that part because I was just like, come on, why do you always got to kill a black man off early? Come on.
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Sixers, I like what the Sixers have done so far, but I think they need now James Harden thing. I would like to see if we could get James Harden, but I don't know if we could get him, without trading Ben. James is a good player, and like that. Now, I've been hearing talk about, Bradley Beal is still out there, and then there's a guy named Zach LaVine. I heard about, too. I never seen Zach LaVine play, though, but I know Bradley.
He's good. I've seen LaVine play. He's good. He's really good.
He's good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But now, I don't heard about Devin Booker. I would think if the Sixers don't get Harden, if there's some way we can get, Devin Booker here with James, with Embiid and Simmons, I think that would be pretty decent, but, and like that. So what do you think is the end game here, man? Is Harden, you think, going to come here or what?
They would have to give up something huge to Houston for that. And I hope that they wouldn't part ways. For as much as I criticize Ben Simmons, and I criticize him a lot, just for the jump shooting thing, that he still does a great job. He's a defender, something that these guys, don't do well at. So I'm kind of like, I admit that unless they can make a deal and still keep Embiid and Simmons, I would be for that. But they may trade their top draft pick. I don't know, but if they would do that, but that's salary cap considerations and things of that nature. So, and also chemistry. Could he play with those guys? Because I think if the trend so far is that they want guys who are scorers. Even this kid Tyrese Maxey, while not percentage wise a good jump shooter, he seems to be from a 3-point range. He seems to be working through that, but he's a good scorer. But the thing is that the trend that the Sixers, Danny Green, Seth Curry, you tell me. I mean, they need shooting. They need guys who can hit the long range jumper because it killed them. So, that might be a clue of where they might go, where they could go. So but I'm gonna have to I think I'm gonna ask some of my people like my man Keith Pompey and some others to kind of weigh in on that. But from that perspective, I mean that's where they're leaning right now. So I got to take this break, man. Thanks for the call, but definitely, and please call again. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we got to go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
Tune in every Saturday at 4 p.m. for the Did You Know Show with host Bryant Green, right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
Want the latest in Word swag?
Check out the shop tab on WordRadio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WordRadio.com. Show the world that you're all about black.
Talk media.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, so we're back. Okay, so I got a couple of calls before, because I think Jack McCaffrey's going to call in about 11:30ish. He's going to call in about that time. So let me get Steve from Hainesport, New Jersey.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for taking my call there, Mr. Murray, Chris Murray. Now, listen, let me ask you a question real quick. I'm about to concede the season right now to the Philadelphia Eagles as a Cowboy. I've never done that before. But here's the catch.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Cowboys to get a first, second, or third round pick. How about that?
Well, that might be a good idea for the Cowboys. Are you going to bring back Dak Prescott? They ought to, because now they're seeing life without Dak Prescott is not good. You got Ezekiel Elliott, and perhaps they may need to give him the ball more. I just hope that, because Jerry Jones would do something like get Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson or something like that, and but the thing is, I still say I thought Dak was better for their future, but there's a part of me, and I have no proof of this, but my gut tells me that I wonder if Jerry Jones really wants a black guy to be the face, the black quarterback, to be the face of his franchise. I'm just wondering. I don't know. I could be wrong. Gotta ask people down in Dallas. I'm going to try. I'll talk to my friends in Dallas. I wonder. I'm just wondering. If he does that, if he picks Trevor Lawrence, then I'll have my answer.
But
if the Cowboys fall that far. Okay.
Yeah. When Dak was a rookie, he tried to get what's his name? The backup quarterback, the one that won the Super Bowl for you.
Nick Foles?
He tried to get Nick Foles. Nick Foles went on and signed behind, what was the kid that went to Kansas City? The one that left San Francisco. One of those, Kansas City.
I'm talking about Alex Smith.
Alex Smith. And I said to myself, Foles, didn't you know that Romo was back? I knew Romo was going to be healthy for the season, but what you call it was a rookie. And they said they tried to sign him, but he went and signed with Andy Reid in Kansas City to be a backup. And I was sitting there like, is this guy crazy? That was his starting job right there. But, listen, they tried to get quarterbacks because you don't want to go with a rookie, but Dak Prescott did play good. The only bad problem now is the contract. They're not going to pay him the money he wants. I know he was mad when he got injured because you could see it on the sideline how he was filming on the sideline about that injury. But let me say this real quick. The NBA draft just went through, and the Lakers, I don't know what they did. The Sixers got a good coach, so you guys probably on your way, probably to the Eastern Championship. Klay Thompson.
Remains to be seen. Klay, go ahead. Yeah.
I just heard he got injured again. What's the
he did.
partying with him?
Yeah, he messed up his Achilles, man. Achilles asked Ryan Howard is no joke. And, I think that in coming back, I mean, he was just, sometimes when you get back, when you try to get back in shape, sometimes maybe, that guys try a little bit too hard to do that. I mean, you can get hurt. I mean, that's, that's something else. I mean, I hate to see it because I liked them, but the Warriors did get a good draft pick, and the Warriors are going to be okay. And because you're going to have Steph Curry coming back, so you're going to have him coming back. So
Kelly Oubre.
I mean, they're going to have some players on that team, and so but if they get Thompson back, if they get Thompson to pair him back with Steph Curry, they're in the Western Conference Finals and possibly the finals next year, this coming year. I mean, so that's the only thing. I mean, I think the Warriors will be a playoff contender. I think that plus the Lakers have a lot of turnover. I had to bring some, do some more things on the Lakers, but the Lakers are going to be all right. LeBron and them are going to be okay, but we will see. We will see how this whole thing shakes itself out. So the Sixers, we'll see. I mean, so in any event, let me get one more caller real quick. Thank you for the call. I'm gonna get Joe from Germantown real quick before we bring in Jack McCaffrey and to assess the Sixers and the Eagles and possibly the Phillies. We can get that through there. But so Joe, real quick, what's going on, man?
Hey, I'm trying to make it quick. Give me a couple extra minutes, Chris. Hello to you and Jordan. I'm gonna say my Colin Kaepernick comment for last. To my brother just called a Cowboy fan, I disagree. I think Jerry Jones is psycho. He's gonna give Dak Prescott his money. As long as Dak can prove he can come back healthy, which I think Dak is young, he's gonna give him his money because Jerry Jones, he might be a bigot, but he don't want to be exposed. He knows less like racist if he don't get his boys, especially what he's seen in life without Dak. So Dak gonna get his money next year. Plus, Dak got the public down in Dallas. I listen to the sports shows on Sirius Radio. All the fans down in is on Dak's side. So Jerry Jones facing that too. So Dak gonna get his money. I don't think he probably will, in his heart, he probably would like to draft Trevor Lawrence because he's a white boy. I get that. But see, Jerry Jones don't want that PR nightmare because he know what they're gonna look like. So Dak gonna get his money. But on Bruce Lee real quick, Bruce Lee is a cultural icon, Chris, as you know. He black, white, Indian, Latino. Everybody loves Bruce Lee. But one part of Bruce Lee movie besides the thing, but I didn't like them killing off Jim Kelly either, was a part when Bruce Lee threw that Cobra into the TV station. You ain't never seen a station clear so fast. My man took a chair, but I would have did the same thing. He threw that Cobra in there. Them guys cleared out of it. Remember that scene, Chris?
I would have been like, bye.
Chris, I would have been, see ya. Chris, I would have made a hole for myself. I said, see ya. But he said, Chris, real quick, Chris, Colin Kaepernick, I love that brother. I'm sure if he had any chance of playing in the NFL, he won't play now. Not his cancer was slum anyway because of the racism. But he came out supporting Mamiya. And as predicted, the right-wing racist talking heads, they was having fit like that's Michael Spakanis this morning. Oh, he like to have a fit. Oh, what a disgrace it is. For him supporting that cop killer. He just don't have no proof he wasn't there when that thing happened with Mamiya and Faulkner. He wasn't even there, but he already, because he's a black man, he's guilty. But never mind these white guys like him. They never show no mercy for all the black men and women over the years that got murdered at the hands of police, like with Walter Wallace here in Philadelphia. No sympathy for them. But Daniel Faulkner him because he gets killed. And I'm not saying I'm no enjoying nobody getting killed, but like black lives don't matter. You know what I mean? Black men and women getting killed by the police since we been brought over here, but no sympathy for them. But down the world gonna come to an end because dang, he fucking got killed. You know? I mean, just racist to the core. But again, I support Colin to stand up to be a man because Colin got his money. Nothing they can do to him, Chris. He got his money, so he can say whatever he want to say. And I applaud Colin Kaepernick for standing up, being a man. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter how much money you get and when you're going to stand up and be a strong black man or a strong black woman. Because as they say in the Bible, Chris, who is the man that gains the world but loses soul?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. No, you're absolutely right. I agree with you. Okay, so let's change gears for a second. We got Jack McCaffrey from the Delaware County Daily Times. And Jack, you've been watching the Sixers draft. I mean, because I think you fancy yourself as one of the best basketball fans in this area and whatnot. So how would you grade the draft in free agency? Because from that standpoint, I thought they got the things that they need. Now, whether or not those guys are going to be good and all that, to me, in my skeptical thinking, remains to be seen. What say you about this?
Well, start with the draft. Maxey's an interesting case because his college three-point shooting was weak. It wasn't just not there; it was weak, and yet he's being characterized as a shooter. And Maury said something that I thought was really interesting. He says, and again, paraphrasing, basically he says, we don't necessarily look at the results. We look at how he shoots it and what we think we can do to make him a shooter at the NBA level. Again, paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. We have ways to do things, and we like what we see in his actions, and he's going to be a good NBA three-point shooter. That's a new way to look at basketball, if you ask me. It's like there's enough guys that make shots that I don't need to invent somebody to make shots, but made a nice impression with the press when he came on, and he's also a pretty good defensive player from what we're told. A great high school player, great coming up through Kentucky. Only had 1 year at Kentucky. Interesting that he shot the ball well on the road. He didn't shoot the ball well at home, but shot the ball well on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to at least say, okay, 31 college games is just not enough of a sample to make a conclusion on a guy. I'll take what the Sixers say, and we'll see what happens from there. Joe can shoot. He's got great form. I can see him being a big time pro shooter, and Paul Reed is possibly somebody who can mix into the 4-5 kind of blend that they'll miss with Horford going. So that's what I would take out of the draft.
Yeah. What about free agency? Dwight Howard, Seth Curry, and Danny Green. Seth Curry, who he's not like his brother, but 45% from three-point range jumps out at you naturally. I mean, it jumps out. Danny Green has always been a proven outside shooter. Does that address? I mean, that was to address this team's lack of three-point scoring.
It addresses that, and it addresses just overall depth of talent. The depth of talent last year was alarmingly low. You saw that in the playoffs. You kept looking for Brett Brown kept looking for answers. There was nobody there. He could look down that bench all night and all day. He wasn't going to get help. Now, Seth Curry, the way it's structured right now, more likely it'll be the replacement for Richardson, and it'll be a starter. But then again, you get Green coming off the bench. You've got Dwight Howard coming off the bench. You'll still have, Matisse Thybulle, really an elite, unique kind of defensive player coming off the bench. So you'll have a little bit of better depth than you did last year, but they still need to work on that more. Saving $80 million on the Al Horford flip was mandatory. That was going to tie them up for too many years. So they were able to do that. Best of luck to Al Horford going forward. He was not a fit here at all in any description. So he goes. Richardson, I'll tell you what, Richardson was he was a leader in that room. He was a guy that was listened to and had some weight in that room for a guy who was only there 1 year.
Right.
And my opinion was he was a better shooter than he was given credit for. So that could be somebody they can miss. But Seth Curry is really an elite shooter, so he gives you that. That should make that will make Joel Embiid a better player. So all in all, to exchange Horford and Richardson and come up with Danny Green, Seth Curry, and Dwight Howard. Pretty good week, well done for the Sixers.
Yeah. Well, but of course the albatross in the room, I hope I use that expression right, but for the 900-pound gorilla is the fact that we still have to get Ben Simmons to take a jumper. Do you think that that Doc Rivers is going to be successful? Will him and Daryl Morey, will other people around him convince him, look, man, we're not asking you to take, a 3-point buckets, but every now and then at the foul line, hit a bucket, keep the defense honest, make people, because in the playoffs, they're going to stack them. They're going to stack everything inside, and they're not going to let him penetrate and get inside, even at his height and frame. Do you see that happening this year? Do you see them, convincing him that he has to work on his game a little bit?
Not to any success. They'll probably try, but it's not going to happen. And I say that because you just have to look at what they're doing by assembling Curry and Green, and they think Maxey and Joe, and they think that this Dakota Mathias coming out of the minor leagues, they're convinced he's a pretty good shooter. So by acquiring all those shooters to stretch the floor around Simmons tells you, it indicates to you that they are planning, at least for 1 year, to allow Simmons to be the way he's been and to make him a better player by having these shooters around him, much like they had with Redick before. So I go with actions more than words, and the actions are that they are setting up their situation for more shooters around Simmons rather than to make Simmons a shooter. 1 year, and that'll be it. I mean, I'll give you a clue. Doc Rivers isn't putting up with that for long. He'll put up with it for 1 year. Apparently, that's the plan. But if that happens again, the way it's happened in Simmons' first 3 or 4 years, then by this time next year he'll be out of here. Doc Rivers isn't going to put up with that.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I got to go to break. I want to bring you in about the Eagles, and because I've had a mutual friend on the show talking about Carson Wentz, and but I want to get your thoughts on this season and where they're going. So when we come back from break, so hang on for a quick second. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
Buying something from a dealer just sounds a bit, well, put it like this. My cousin Ray Ray got arrested for buying something from a dealer. So why would you want to buy your car from a dealer? Hi, everybody. This is Nick inviting you to buy your next car from Jerry over at Cardex. See, they're not dealers. They're like a car concierge service. They design a car around you. Almost any make. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and get it for you. So use my car concierge, where I've already bought 4 cars. Cardex at 116 East Glenside Avenue in Glenside, Pennsylvania. Check them out online at cardexinc.com. Or call Cardex at 215-886-3230.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita Later, at 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keep your dial locked
to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. Save the date. Friday, December 4th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. for the 5th annual WURD Empowerment Experience. And this year, the virtual and on-air event will be extra special as we celebrate the career of radio veteran Cody Anderson and discuss the importance of independent black media. For more details about the 2020 WURD Empowerment Experience or to RSVP, visit WURDradio.com and stay tuned to WURD Radio. 96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Okay, we are back. Jack, gotta change gears a little bit, and we got Jack McCarthy from the Delaware County Daily Times, great columnist, probably one, to me, the best in the city, if you ask me. But I got to ask you about this Eagles football team, 5-1, and Carson Wentz. What I've heard from Carson Wentz, from a mutual buddy of ours, is that Wentz, for some reason, is not taking coaching very well, and like last week's game, he didn't make any mistakes, which there was only twice this year. In 2 games out of the 9 the Eagles have played, he's turned the ball over, fumbled. I know he's taken a sack in just about every game. But I got to ask you, where do you see this Eagles team going? They got a tough game in Cleveland, which I don't think they're going to win. But they are still in position to win the division. What is all this in Carson's head, or is it just not having the personnel? Guys being out.
That's a great question because there's a little bit of both. You can't dismiss the fact that it's been a different offensive line pretty much every game. So there's that. But as far as getting into his head, I don't know about his head, but the longer you watch Carson Wentz play, the more it's pretty obvious that he's one of those guys that's feast or famine. He's going to make an effort to make great plays and be creative and athletic and get out of the pocket, do this, throw it. In those situations, he can be very great. And he can also be a turnover guy. When you saw him last week, basically just run kind of a bland offense and a lot of it, the running attack, he didn't turn it over, but he wasn't great either. So you got to decide what you want with Carson Wentz. You want him to be himself and take the potential for being great with the almost certainty that he's also going to turn it over, or you just want him to, ratchet it down a little bit for him and just let him hand the ball off and make some safe plays. Either way, it's not the future of where the Eagles are going. To me, the Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz era is just about over. Both of them will go, or one of them will have to go. The next quarterback is Jalen Hurts, and that's going to happen by next year. They didn't draft him in the second round to sit him there. They drafted him there for a reason. A lot of times you just have to look at the dynamics of what's happening around the division at the time. And oddly enough, the division is so bad that the Eagles have a chance to steal this playoff spot. So they're going to go conservative and see if they just can't squeeze in with Wentz and then take their chances then. But we've seen the beginning of the end. Wentz may go somewhere else. He probably will. And he could have a very nice career. But it's not going to finish for him here. Hurts is the future.
Right. Yeah, and the thing about it, though, but there are other problems. Drafting and personnel, I see that it seems like the last couple of years, people have been pointing to the fact that they missed at the front of the Howie Roseman in there, missed out on DK Metcalf. I saw this kid, Justin Jefferson, at LSU. I think I wrote in a couple of stories, I said, I almost begged them on this show, they got to get this guy out of LSU. He goes to Minnesota. He's having a good year. Rager, has, he's been hurt most of the year. I will say that. He's been hurt. And I think he could be a good receiver, but I would have thought they would have done a little better job at that position. And they also needed some offensive linemen as well. But, I thought that this front office would have done a better job. I looked at the front office 3 years ago. I thought, hey, when they went to the Super Bowl, hey, this front office is doing all the right things. I'm not so sure anymore.
No, the drafting's been poor. They've taken some risks. It hasn't worked out, and it's the results are the way the NFL is set up. You draft average or below average for 2, 3, 4 years in a row. It catches up to you immediately. It's a league of great balance that everybody's draft is set up in reverse order so that everybody at some time is going to have a chance to bob back to the top of their division. And the Eagles didn't do that. They didn't draft very well. So they had the great year in 2017, 2018. They won the Super Bowl. It could have gone one of two ways from there. You could have built a little dynasty, or you could have retreated. And they definitely retreated. They tried some things. Ertz is probably done, at least as far as being a long-term contributor for them. They tried Deshaun Jackson, what a disaster that was. You can see some glimpses of where the next reign of success is going to come if the Eagles are going to have one, and that would be Sanders, Fulgham, probably Hurts, and then they're going to have to draft better. Ultimately, they'll start to get better draft choices once they put enough 3-win teams together. They're going to get some better draft choices. So it's but that opportunity they had to build on that championship, bad personnel decisions and bad drafting, and over evaluating Wentz are three of the reasons why it's just not going to happen that way.
Wow. No, because my next question was I glanced at an article in the Inquirer this morning. If they don't make the playoffs, if they end up with a losing record, if they say go 6-10 or 7-9, does Peterson stay? Do they blow it up? I mean, Joe Banner seems to think that they won't blow it up.
One of the two would go, I would say, and more likely it would be Wentz because again they've already brought in their next quarterback. So see if you get something for Wentz and try it that way. When I say the Peterson-Wentz era is over, I mean that by those two together, that's over. That's not going to continue much longer. So It doesn't mean both of them will go. Peterson won the Super Bowl. He'll get one more crack at rebuilding. He'll get a crack at rebuilding, and that would begin with another quarterback. And then once he gets that, Hurts will get a couple of years to develop. If he doesn't do it, then at that point, then nothing's going to work, and then everything gets blown up. My vision is that they trade Wentz, give Peterson a chance to develop Hurts. If Peterson's the quarterback guy and supposedly good with quarterbacks, give him a chance with Hurts, and I'd be pretty optimistic if I was an Eagles fan that Hurts can get it done. He's a great player. He's put in some tough spots this year and to not much success, but it's really difficult to run in there one play a quarter or whatever he plays in goofy sets with two quarterbacks and all that. So you don't really get a good look at him yet. Like to see him make a big play once in a while. He gets in there, but he'll get a year or two to figure that out. And if he's a failure, and we already just acknowledged that they haven't drafted well, but my guess is watching him in college, that he's going to be a star level player once they give him the ball.
Yeah. One quick before I had to let you go for the day, and thanks for being here. But the Phillies, on top of the Phillies, they just got a new pitching coach. They got a new pitching coach. This guy, let me get his name. This guy, Caleb Cotham, who was Trevor Bauer. The Reds really liked him and say he's going to do a good job. Can he help? Can he salvage this pitching staff real quick, because they really, oh man, and because they were really bad the second from all that 60-game season. Can this guy be the key to getting this bullpen and this starting staff together?
No, he won't. This is the fifth year in a row with a new pitching coach. I wish the young fella, I call him young, he's 33, but I wish him all the luck. But no, you're not going to win with the way that pitching staff is constructed. And as long as Andy McPhail's running the joint around there, I don't see anybody that knows a darn thing about how to acquire a pitcher. I'm starting to really sour on Aarondola. He keeps having bad Septembers, and I said, because you had bad Septembers when it was a long season, and you said maybe he tired. When he had a bad September this year, when they really needed him, it's not the long season. It's he doesn't perform well down a stretch. Yeah. So until I'm told otherwise, that's my opinion on Aarondola. Zach Wheeler's injury prone. Zach Eflin has shown some great growth. In fact, Cotham yesterday said Phillies have 3 Cy Young candidates, but that was a little bit over the top. But no, you're not going to. You can't take that absolute disaster of a pitching staff and tell me that the 33-year-old pitching coach is the answer. Not only that, maybe if you bring back JT Realmuto,
Yeah. Okay, I think I lost you. Are you still here? Okay. All right. Well, I gotta say, I think we may have lost Jack. Okay. But no, I mean, you're right. I mean, I have to say, Jack is right about that. That was a horrible staff, especially in the bullpen. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, Jack, can you hear me? Go ahead. We got him back? Oh, we don't have him back. Oh, man. Okay. All right. Well, we got to go to break. I want to thank Jack for being here, though. Gave us some really good stuff today. I appreciate it. We got to go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, the Chris Murray Report. It will be right back.
Do you have a K-12 student who does not have reliable internet at home? PHL Connected is here to provide eligible students with free high-speed internet to make sure they always stay connected to digital learning. Dial 211 and press 1 to ask questions and get connected today for free. The hotline is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so call anytime. That's 211 to get your student PHL connected today.
Jobs,
entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources,
and financial literacy.
Livelihood. The new initiative from WURD Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WordWorks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
Step by Step Home Care Professionals is one of Philadelphia's fastest growing Black-owned home care employers, and they are hiring. If you are a caring, nurturing, and compassionate person who enjoys helping people in need, Step by Step Home Care Professionals is looking to hire you. Go to sbshome.care to complete an employment application. That's sbshome.care, or call 610-321-3108 for more information and ask for Monet. Step by Step Home Care Professionals is hiring today.
Tune in this Sunday at 4 p.m. for the Halal Industry Show with information on economic justice, hosted by Imam Wali Bilal. Lifting every voice
till earth and heaven ring.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. Well, I'm expecting a call from Mark Alfano, who's a local activist for Dick Allen getting into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And we'll talk to him. They had a rally recently about that. I wanted to get an update from him as to where we are in that process with Dick Allen getting into the Hall of Fame. I mean, guy should be in probably one of the all-time. First of all, Philly legend. One of the all-time greats that plays baseball. But of course, coming out of the 60s, a lot of times, with black athletes, and, a lot of times, people don't expect us we all have different personalities like white athletes. And so he was the type of guy, he stood up for himself, and people unfairly, by the way, and I've unfairly labeled him as some type of problem child and all that. And, I gotta say this, I'm trying to, at some point, I keep up with my membership with the Pro Football Writers. There were some things I would have liked to have been on the Baseball Writers. I mean, I wish I would have fought a little bit harder back when I was covering baseball on a regular basis to get there. That's another story. But when it comes to Hall of Famers, if it were up to Chris Murray to pick Hall of Famers, my thing is, my criteria is not whether or not I personally like the guy. I don't have to like an individual. I don't have to like anybody. I mean, to watch him play. Okay, I'm not a fan of Michael Jordan in a sense that I in terms of social justice and all that. But Michael Jordan was a heck of a player. And the argument that I often get into with my significant other, with Denise, because Denise is a big Raiders fan, and to this day she still feels that the Raiders were cheated in the great tuck rule game, and they probably were, but she hates Tom Brady. She can't stand the man. She cannot stand Tom Brady. Okay, and that's okay. I understand. You don't like Tom Brady or the Patriots, but I can't negate from the fact that Tom Brady is a great player. I witnessed that in a Super Bowl. In a Super Bowl that I attended. So, I'm not going to let whether or not a guy's personality irks me. If he's a great player, he's a great player. Terrell Owens, jerk, a little bit of a jerk, but he was a great player. That should not get personal whatever. Personal feelings, and I'm not going to use this, I hate to use this expression, Jordan, but if you feel some kind of way, I hear people talking about, in other words, you don't like the guy, don't tell. I tell my students, don't in a formal essay, don't say he feels kind of way. I want to know how he feels, okay? But, if he's upset, he's upset. Mm-hmm. That's period. But my thing at the end of the day, you don't have to like a guy. But if he's great on the field, let him in. We have Mark Cafano, and I'm going to get to my caller in a second, but we have Mark Cafano, who has been leading the fight to put Dick Allen into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Mark, how are you today, man?
I'm doing good, Chris. How you doing, pal? You all right?
Man, I'm trying to be all right, man. I mean, I'm trying to stay away because I've been working hard this week. But go on. But so tell me about the latest effort to get Dick Allen into the Hall of Fame. You had a big rally that I could not attend because I was teaching my students the finer points of the 5-paragraph essay. But the thing is that where are we in this process of getting? Because we had he's in the Phillies. So he's in the Phillies Wall of Fame, or he's in
Wall of Fame, and they just retired his number. That's a bonus.
And they retired his number.
So it was a good
right.
Let me start off when I can explain the rally. First of all, as you know, I don't know if people don't even know, we had a billboard. There's a billboard up there on Route 76 going towards the Walt Whitman Bridge on the left-hand side, and you'll see it.
Right.
Dick Allen belongs in the Hall of Fame, and we added the word now. And there's another billboard on 676 going east towards the Vine Street Expressway, and you'll see it on the left right before you reach I-95. Now, the purpose of having that billboard up there, Dick Allen belongs in the Hall of Fame now, is because of the unacceptable decision by the National Baseball Hall of Fame 2020 Golden Days Ballot Committee to postpone the vote until December of 2021. And yet they can have all these other awards. They're voting on the Stink Awards, which is the Writer Award, and the Frick Award. They're giving out all these MVP awards. They're giving out Rookie of the Year, and to add insult to injury, do insult the injuries. They said they couldn't have it virtually. It wasn't doable, which is a bunch of nonsense. The whole country. Do you teach virtually? I'm sure you do. It's a bunch
I do. I do teach virtually. Absolutely. Yeah, I do.
This is the only way I'm going to talk. If not, I have to talk and express myself, and I want the people to know that word is wrong. There's something going on that's wrong. So now they're going to have that writer's vote. And on January 26th, they're going to have a big happy announcement of who in and who got in and who out. Now, Chris, you know more than I do. Just let me go on, and then you can go. I sound like I'm the host of the show. But please, I have to get this out of my system. Now, you know as well as I do, 99.9% of them people on that ballot have relatively no shot of staying in Cooperstown, with the exception of a few of them. And most of them people on that ballot are in their late 30s to late 40s, with some being in their 50s like Barry Bonds. Now, to me, you're telling me you can vote on them young guys, but you can't vote on them old guys? The 4 guys that are close to the Hall of Fame. Chris Mack, that's flat out age discrimination. That's age discrimination. Yeah. And I got to look.
Well, on the other hand, but isn't that up to the Veterans Committee? Doesn't the Veterans Committee deal with that? I mean, that's because I think hasn't he exhausted his time with the writers? I mean, it's I think he should. I'm with you.
It's different. I understand it's different. They claim they can't have it. It has to be in a meeting. It can't be Zoom. So like Mike Schmidt said, Mike Schmidt's on board with this too. And he said, what happened if the pandemic is around in 2021? You're going to make these guys wait again? Dick Allen's not well. You know that.
Right,
he's the youngest of the 3 other leading candidates. He's 70, and Jim Cott, Tony Oliva, and Maury Wills just turned 88 years old on October the 3rd. And you're making these gentlemen wait? That's cruel. That's wrong, Chris. Come on. You can't do that for people.
Yeah, and a lot of people, the thing is, a lot of people didn't see Tony Oliva or Maury Wills, and a lot of younger people, I just happen to be someone, who I kind of fancy myself as an amateur historian. I appreciate what the other guys. I saw glimpses of Tony Oliva as a kid when he played with the Minnesota Twins with Rod Carew, and I find it interesting that he's not in there. Jim Cott and definitely Dick Allen, and this is why I kind of started the segment off with. You told me something about Jerry Reinsdorf, or someone that said something personally bad about Dick Allen. And one of the things that bothers me, I don't think, you may not like a guy. Like I said, I thought the couple of times I've been around Barry Bonds, I thought that, he was a bit of a jerk, bit of a very defensive, and people have told me over the years he wasn't the nicest guy in the world, as opposed to, say, a Ken Griffey, who was a sweetheart of a guy. And, but I'm not going to diminish Barry Bonds' greatness or be any less critical of, like, during the steroids era. Yeah, I would say Bonds, like a lot of other guys, indulged or actually did it. But what I was upset about from that time, though, what I was upset.
Let me just add something to that. And you are correct. And you are correct. Baseball's ratings are down so low. You know that, right? Right. At the lowest point that they've been, I don't know how long, since a long time ago, before the pre-steroid era. Before that era, they're down that low. So now, like you said, how about making everybody happy in the public? Do right things. Cater to the older people. Put them guys who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Do it right now. And put Barry Bonds in. Put Pete Rose in. Let them have their arguments, because there's arguments about every player about who should be in and who should be out in. If the guy's in, they still argue about it. If the guy's not in, they still argue. So put them all in and let the argument continue. But however, let the worthy ones in. Let the word, like you said, Bonds has them stats. Whether he did that other stuff or not, that's okay. But he has them numbers. The younger generation ones are in. He's getting close. You know, he's going to get in. You just follow the track of the writer's mouth. He's getting in there sometimes, and they're going to let Pete in after he does. You know, and that's what I think they want. They want to take Allen, unfortunately, because that woman up there in Cooperstown does not like him. Does not like him.
Right.
With the help of Jerry Reinsdorf, who's on the board, and the woman joins the board. I mean, it's politics. It's ridiculous. And you know that Bob Watson at the last vote in 2014 was replaced at the last minute. He called in sick. He said, I can't make it. He called in sick, and Jerry Reinsdorf took his place. Well, if being anybody, I've been around associations that usually go by the Robert's Rules of Order, and if you come in as a proxy, you're supposed to vote the same way the other guy voted. But he did not. He did not. Reinsdorf told that vote was sick. That vote was sick. And let me ask another thing. I'm just Joe Fan, as I mentioned the other day. I am Joe Fan. Can you believe this? There's a new president of the Hall of Fame now. His name is Tim Meade. Let's listen to this story. He wanted my phone number. He gave me his phone number via email, and he said, Mark, give me a call. And you know what he said? You know what he said, Mark? He said, Mark, what happened in 2014 will not happen again in 2017. Because it was a real mess, and it was unorganized, and a lot of wrong was done there. A lot of wrong. He didn't cheated, but he's a PR guy who's worked for the Angels for 40 years as the California Angels public relations director. Now he moves over to be, you know, they made him the president, the new president of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. You know, so.
Yeah. I mean, but this is why I say, this is what, I guess I was making the point earlier, that there are a lot, as human beings, we don't have to like a lot of people. But like for example, you said Pete Rose. Pete Rose should have been in the Hall of Fame, and the way that should have been done. No, should Pete Rose, because of his gambling issues, should he not be allowed to manage in the game again? No, he should not be until he dealt with that gambling. But in terms of the Hall of Fame, let him in. He's an all-time hits leader. Okay, yes, he gambled. And the thing is, he should never be allowed to manage a Major League Baseball team again. That I agree with, until he gets help, and because he still hangs around casinos, that's what he does. But in terms of the Hall of Fame, let him in. He's an all-time hits leader. You don't have to like a guy. You don't have to like a guy. And I think that in this age of, you know, we get on millennials for taking things personally, but nobody takes more things personally than I know a lot of sports writers. Good Lord, people who take things personally. So, you know, if a guy does well on the field, he should be in because he does well on the field. He may not, you know, he may be a jerk of a person, you know, off the field and all that. But then again, in sports, you know, there are lots of people who were jerks. Some people said Ted Williams was a bit of a jerk. A lot of great players, you know, Ty Cobb was an open racist and once beat up a black fan of his, you know, just because because he was a black man who admired him. So, you know, at the end of the day, Mark, I mean, I'm with you, Dick Allen, and, you know, I will be sounding that clarion call. But what I would like to say to my colleagues out there, man, you know, you can't folks got to stop this. I don't like him personally. I mean, we sound like a bunch of, well, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get in trouble, but we sound like a bunch of very catty people when we do that. You know, we sound rather catty. When, I mean, lack of a better way of saying, I'm not going to assign that to women because I don't want to get in trouble with that, but we sound like a bunch of petty, catty people when we keep guys out of the Hall of Fame just because we don't like them personally. You ain't got to like anybody personally. You know, if they're great on the field, they're great. It is not the hall. Well, it's not the hall of you know, of drinking tea and etiquette and all that other stuff. Though I like tea, but you know, but the thing is just that and for some reason with black athletes, Mark, and always that's always that thing. There's always that, well, he's a bad guy kind of thing, and that always sticks with black athletes. I'm sure it does with white athletes too. Don't get it twisted, but it always sticks to black athletes. And Dick Allen, as you know, and I know, Dick Allen was, like I said, when I was in the Tribune about 12 years ago, about 15 years ago, I spent like maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours in the office after we did the interview, so just talking baseball. That was one of the best. I mean, one of the funnest things that I think I could ever do in this business is to talk to a cat like him and talk about baseball. So I'm with you on that. I'm with you on getting him. So what can fans do anything? Can the fans do anything now? Can they write letters to the Hall of Fame and all that?
You can write letters to the Hall of Fame. There's the email. I'll give the guys the text. It's very simple. It's TMEAD, TMEAD, at baseball hall, TMEAD, TMEAD.
Okay.
At baseball hall, at baseballhall.org. And that's all you get. And tell them to forward it to James Ford Clark, how unhappy they are about it. But we're trying to get this to the national level. I'm trying to talk to some people. CBS 3 did a report. I was very unhappy with it. They never got to the issue. They just said, well, it was a rally for Richie, and then they explained why. It has to be explained why. And like you said, you went off there, maybe didn't hear me, about black players. They don't get the respect. And Graham Womack, he wrote an article on January the 3rd, 2017. Here's the headline. Black MLB players get little help from the Hall of Fame Veterans Committee. Now, let's listen to this article. Since the inception of the Veterans Committee, in this article, which was 1936, whatever it was, 84 years ago, I think I may have told you, they never have elected, one African-American player who played their entire career until in the major league. Not zero.
Wow.
Until Jerry Reinsdorf put a backdoor play, when Dick was supposed to be on in 2017, he added them more eras. Pushed Dick back to 2020, and he put like today's game here, whatever it was, and he put it back in there and put it back on the board of governors. Come on, Chris, that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue that. But that's the general thing. I don't know if you remember Orlando Cepeda, that because I think he had a drug problem or something, and they kept him out for a long time, and it was like this big battle. See, that kind of thing, it seems to happen to a lot of black and Latino players. Let's face it. And, it's a shame. It's a shame. Like I say again, to me, personal should never override what you see professionally. You may not like a guy. There's a lot of people. I've been in enough locker rooms to know that there are a lot of guys I don't like. And there are a lot of guys I like. It's a balanced thing. But, Mark, I hope, you are successful. If I can somehow lend my advocacy in some way, you got it from me. So, that's, and like I say, I admire your efforts and trying to push this, because like I say again, it's always a thing. And I hate to say in other Hall of Fames, I still remember, but like before John Mackey died, they took a long time. The guy who reinvented the tight end position, basically, they took a long time to put John Mackey in, and the reason why they took a long time was because he helped form the NFL. He was the president of the Players Union, and not only that, and I also think about Curt Flood. Curt Flood as a player should probably be in the Hall of Fame. Guy batted 300 a couple more than a few times during the 60s, the decade of the pitcher. And you bat 300. There was one year where I think it may have been Carl Yastrzemski, one player in the American League in 1967 or 68 that batted 300. And it was a hard feat to do in an era where pitching dominated. So I'm thinking Curt Flood, plus he was the Gold Glove center fielder for the Cardinals, along with, because I think they put Marvin Miller in for what he did for the players, because the stand that he took enabled cats like Bonds and all those guys to make millions of dollars. Okay, so and also throughout sports. So that's another guy. That needs to be in that Hall of Fame, along with Dick Allen, is Curt Flood. So. Yeah, that's the thing. The veterans. I wonder. It makes me wonder about that. I like to invest. I like to fully investigate that story. But I wonder. Why doesn't Curt Flood? Curt Flood opened up the game for baseball. Made baseball. Got baseball out of the reserve clause. So I mean, Mark, I gotta say, thank you so much for your advocacy, and thanks for always taking time out to talk to me.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Chris. I always appreciate your help, and I know you're just a phone call away. Thank you. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody. Take care. God
You
bless.
do the same. Thank you. That was Mark Cafano, who is leading the fight to get Dick Allen, one of the best players in Phillies history, into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And like I say again, if everybody would write letters for that guy, it would be held. Also to get Kurt Flood in too. But I think that like I say again, Jordan, we have a break right in about a few minutes.
Yep.
Okay. So before we go to break, but Jordan, I gotta say one thing before I go to break. Again, with players, whatever you do on the field, what you do on the field is fine. I don't have to like you off the field. Like, I admire Colin Kaepernick. And Colin Kaepernick was a great player. Should be playing somewhere. Michael Jordan was one of the greats of all time, as was Karl Malone. I like them as players. They're not the best guys, in terms of, off the field and advocating for the brothers. Like Herschel Walker was a great football player. Loved him at Georgia. I'm not a fan of his for being an advocate for Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. But as a player, Herschel Walker was a great player, and I can't take that. I'm not going to take that from him if I have to evaluate him for I think he's in the College Football Hall of Fame. I can't put him in the pros. He didn't do enough, in my opinion. So my thing is what you do on the field. You don't have to like everybody in this life. Right. You don't have to like everybody. You just have to, understand that they're good at what they do professionally. You may not like them, but you got to work with them. So, but I like you, Jordan. So anyway, we got
there you go.
We got to go to break. So you listen to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD. The Chris Murray Report will be right back. And if my man Eugene is still online, please keep him on, because I like to bring him in as well.
Pennsylvania's COVID-19 mobile testing unit, KATE, will soon be coming to the area. Anyone who would like to be tested or receive free information and resources can attend a KATE tour stop. All services are first come, first served, and no appointments or insurance are required. Many stops will also provide free flu shots. To learn when KATE will be making a stop near you, please visit KATE, C-A-T-E, mobileunit.com.
Livelihood, the new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
This program is pre-recorded.
No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
We're back. So for the next 34 and a half minutes, I like to, or my math might be off, maybe 36 minutes, 12:24. Okay. Last few minutes of the show, I'm going to leave it open to you guys because I always like to talk to my listeners as much as I like to talk to my guests, and I always want to know what's on your mind about anything in terms of the Sixers, Eagles, sports, social issues, boxing. I love talking boxing. So if like I say, so call in 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. We have Eugene all the way from my birth state, the state of Maryland, or Maryland as we like to say. Eugene, go ahead.
Good morning, Chris.
How are you, sir?
I have two questions, at least two questions to ask you. One related to the Eagles, and one related to the Professional National Basketball Coaches Association.
Okay.
The first question is this. Do you know whether the Philadelphia Eagles have honored the request of singing of Lift Every Voice and Sing in any of its games? Have you been to any of its games where...
I have been to some of the games now. Matter of fact, I've been to I've been to every game except one. And a lot of times I haven't gotten to the stadium early enough, for the I've heard them hear the national anthem, but to be honest, I've not heard them play Lift Every Voice and Sing. That I have not heard. But maybe I'm not saying they have, but like I say, sometimes I don't get to the stadium until a little bit around that time. And then too, when I'm there, I'm kind of like in the back, getting all my computers and stuff ready to write stories online, stuff like that.
Well, the reason I asked that is that you know that Roger Goodell commissioned the great singer Alicia Keys,
right,
to record Lift Every Voice and Sing, and it was sent out to all of the franchises, and they had a choice of playing that or playing someone from their local area here in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
My football team did not play Alicia Keys singing Lift Every Voice and Sing. It played the Howard University Choir.
Okay.
And I don't know what other teams are doing. And that's the reason I was asking you about the Eagles, because while I have approached to them on this particular issue, I've never gotten a response from them, nor have I gotten a response from the 76ers. But I haven't given up on that, because I do believe strongly that if we sing the national anthem by Francis Scott Key, and we know who he is, we know what he represents, we know he was a slaveholder, and we know all about that, we must play Lift Every Voice and Sing by James Weldon Johnson, the first black executive secretary of the NAACP. So next question. Are you familiar with the National Basketball Association, Coaches Association?
Yes, I am. I think recently, I'm trying to think, was it them that named Doc Rivers to its social justice committee?
I don't know what they did that, but I did get some information to me the other day, and I wanted to share it. It is that particular organization has endorsed or advocate the singing of both the national anthem and the black national anthem. And I thought that was really, really complimentary. I wondered whether you had heard it. I got it. It was sent to me through an email. And so those were my two questions. And, this movement, Lift Every Voice and Sing, is caught on. It's going all over the country. And I tell everybody, they say, did you help get it through there with Roger Goodell? I say, well, I called him like I called everyone else. I don't know how much impact my calls had on him. But I do believe that we should be singing both of those anthems. And I want your listeners to know that this, as you already know, Mark Gray and all the others, it's a very, very personal issue for me, because I got the Washington Wizards first, the Golden State Warriors, you name them, and then NCAA, and even Temple, there in Temple University, honored my request. And I'm going to end this, unless you have any questions, with saying that if you want to know,
I do have some questions, because I want to get from you.
Yes, sir.
What do you think is the impact of playing playing Lift Every Voice and Sing by James Weldon Johnson? What is the impact? What can that do? Because I think it can. What can that do to help foster, I guess, better race relations, or especially that in a time when this country is terribly divided on, especially in terms of race. What would playing the Black National Anthem, as we popularly call it, what would that do to help bring all that divisiveness together?
Chris, I think it will do what has been done on television stations and radio stations. By all of a sudden, they're bringing on blacks that they didn't have on before. It shows that we have been a part of America from the beginning. And since we have, but in the meantime, we have been marginalized as a people, and our music has been marginalized, and some of it has even been absorbed by the white world, and it's become their music. So for me, now, 79-year-old Howard University professor, for me, it gives me hope. There was an article in the Washington Post and in the Chicago Tribune it was in July. And you may want to write this down. The article heading is, "Lift Every Voice and Sing Hymn Inspires Hope." Now, why is that article an important one and one everyone should read? The great Al Sharpton was interviewed in that particular article. He said all the laudatory things about why we should be singing "Lift Every Voice and Sing." And, you know, the beauty of it, and I was made known of this by my son. My son called me and said, "Dad." I said, "What?" He said, "You're in an article with Al Sharpton." And I said, "What did it say?" He said it talked about Al Sharpton and how he felt about Lift Every Voice and Sing. And it talked about what you did to get Lift Every Voice and Sing sung by NCAA, you know, NFL and so forth. And I said, well, I'm happy about that. So that what I'm saying is that it brings us back where we need to be. When I was a kid up there in Orange, Virginia, we learned it in school. We were required to sing it. It gives hope. It gives inspiration. It makes us feel like a liberated people. And since you asked me that question, I want to share this on your show. Listen to this very carefully.
Yeah.
The other day, I had the opportunity to talk to someone out of the office of the congressman from Philadelphia about this particular issue. And this is my issue. And I sent it out to both to Joe Biden, and I sent it out also to Kamala and the Democratic Party. This is what I said. I said, we have a white and a black working together now. Now, when we have inauguration, when we have any ceremonial activity, that if the national anthem by Francis Scott Key is sung, then we must sing Lift Every Voice and Sing by James Weldon Johnson. And I want you to know, Chris, I checked this out. I called most of the black radio stations, WVON, WOL, and I even called WURD, and I got nothing but a positive response from that, because I think they were saying this brings us back, you know, because we've been here for a long time. We've contributed a lot, and right now, it has become such a passion for me that one of my buddies out in Sacramento, California, when I told him about it some years ago, he said, "Let me tell you something." He called me Doc. He said, "Let me tell you something, Doc." He said, "If you believe in that so much, then you have to go all the way." This is where I am now, and this is very important. You're the first to hear it, I believe. I have designed T-shirts, caps that I'm giving to kids in the D.C. area with Lift Every Voice and Sing on it. And then God blessed me about 2 weeks ago to design a mask. And on this mask, Lift Every Voice and Sing. And I'll be receiving my first order in the next week or so. And when I receive them, I'll be distributing these masks to young boys and girls. You know why, Chris?
You should send me one as well.
I will.
I mean, I'll buy it if I have to, but, you know,
no,
definitely.
I'll send you one because I admire you. You know, so a friend of mine here in Washington, D.C. said to me, you know what? You know, these kids are coming to my class with a mask on, all hanging off their nose and face. He said, that shouldn't be. I said, well, then the administrator of that program should get masks. So I decided, I said, I'm going to get these masks and I'm going to give them to there is an organization in Washington, D.C. called the Washington Tennyson Education Foundation. So I will be working with them and giving masks. You know, and anybody else out there who's listening, who believes as strongly as I believe in what I'm doing, they can contact me at lifteveryvoiceandsing.org. Lifteveryvoiceandsing.org. You know, I'm concerned about on the court, on the field, as well as off the field. And I've gotten, as you probably know, some very, very, very strong supporters, even LeBron James, you know. So we're moving along with this, and maybe you can help us, and certainly you will get a mask. I will send it to, should I send it to the station there in Philadelphia?
Yeah, what you can do is give me. I think I have your information, but give your information to my producer.
Okay.
And including your phone number, because I want to call you. I kind of miss my office at Bowie, but no, but we'll definitely talk about that. I would like to talk to you about that. So, but I got to move on with the call, but I definitely appreciate you coming on here and telling because this is very important. And trying to get our listeners and get our people involved. So I just want to say thank you for doing what you've been doing. Okay, so from that standpoint, so Jordan, talk to him, I'm sure, and talk to Eugene, and so I can get it. I think I have his contact information, but I just want to double check. We got Joseph from Massachusetts, Boston, Harvard Yard. Pop my card, Harvard Yard. How are you, Joseph? Sorry about that.
Yeah, Boston. Yeah, how you doing, Chris?
Joseph. I am doing okay. It's going to be a beautiful day out at some point in the Delaware Valley, but like I say again, I'm just here chilling. So what's on your mind today, man?
Yeah, you were talking about the baseball player. I'll tell you why Darryl Strawberry is my favorite baseball player, for that reason you were talking about. But before I mention him, I want to mention Paul Robeson. All his accomplishments. The second best football player after Jim Thorpe during their time. 4-star letter about semi-basketball player, pro. He did track and field. I think he did baseball too. He undergraduate Rutgers, graduate law school of Columbia, singer, actor, everything. Wherever he go, white people love him. He go Australia, white people love Paul Robeson. He go England, white people love him. You know who's the only white people that didn't like Paul Robeson?
Who?
The American government. Now that's
of course, yeah.
The racism stopped because of the Red Scare. Say he's a communist, he's a commie. That shows you how racism started on top. Like Jack Johnson, first black heavyweight boxing champ from Galveston, Texas, where he got charged for prostitution because he had a white wife and he took her across state line. I had a South African buddy on the track team in college, and he told me, he said, Joe, that was during apartheid in the 80s and stuff. He said, it's more racism here in America than in South Africa. The only thing is South Africa is on the books, but in America they practice that racism so much. Now, Barry Bonds, before Darryl Strawberry, when Barry Bonds accused him of steroid when he hit the 704 home run, he's a cheat. He's an asterisk to be next to his name. But they didn't say that. But when it's Mark McGwire, they say, Mark McGwire was a nice guy. He was just pressured to take steroids because everybody else doing it. They always got a different excuse when it's white or when it's black. But that's the reason why I like Darryl Strawberry. For a black man to succeed, he must have an attitude. The white fans used to throw strawberries on the field in Met Stadium and Shea Stadium. And there's Darryl, they'll make fun of him. But the moral of the story, I was reading an article about Darryl Strawberry. He was a good athlete in high school in Oakland, California. But he always had an attitude. So it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So for a black man to succeed, you're going to have an attitude, because the white fans always want to put down the black players. Like they talk about these college athletes that finishing school to sign big contract, money-making contract. They need to finish school. One old white lady calling on the sports station, why you complaining about the black athlete not finishing college to sign a $10 million contract? What do you go to college for? To get a job. You making $10 million, take the chance. You could always go back to school. Anyway, have a nice weekend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We got Maurice from Southwest Philly. How are you, sir?
I'm not doing too good because I'm mad at you right now.
Why are you mad at me right now? What did I do today?
The gentleman who done astounding work to get that Lift Every Voice and Sing. I remember when he first started, and he accomplished more than I ever thought he would accomplish. But if you're going to give that man that much time, you should have him on as a guest and stop You know, you got us hanging on the line, and you make him a guest so we can call and ask.
I will do that. I will definitely do that.
Man,
because
when you just do it as a phone call, we can't ask him important questions how he was able to do these things. That man is important. That man should be in the history book because he did something I never thought he could accomplish in this world of two worlds, two evil worlds. That's what I want to call it. But let me get back to what Joseph just said.
Okay.
Usually Joseph is a little you're not sure. But this time he was so much on point. I had to stand up and clap because everything he said was true and right to the point. You know what I mean? You know, he was right to the point. But, you know, the thing that gets me is people keep forgetting. I'm almost glad there was a Donald Trump because he's showing us what America is really about. See, we fall back and we relax and we let things go and say, that's okay, when there's not. And that's why we never get ahead on nothing because we're always wanting to be the one to forgive all the time. The Jews don't forgive. The Asians don't forgive. You know how they beat you? They're not going to hit you upside the head. They're going to get powerful. They're going to get political power. They're going to open up business. They're going to be successful. That's how they fight back. Something go wrong to their people, they don't tear up their neighborhood. You know what they do? They build. They make it bigger. They expand. And that's we got to get that mind frame of we have all our black, what you want to call it, black Wall Streets in our neighborhoods. Let's take our neighborhoods and make it like, hey, I want to make West Philly all that or Southwest Philly all that, and I want to make it so much all that people come from all over just to go to West Philly or Southwest Philly for business. See, we don't think on that frame. And that's what we need to get to. And I won't cut it short, but listen.
No. Yeah.
I was just messing with you a little bit on there, but that guy should be a guest.
Yeah, I know. You're right about that. But you know what though, if we make these things, you know, and I'm with you on that. I just hope that, you know, as we prosper, because I mean, as much as I like to see black business, what about can we make housing affordable for people as well? I mean, that's just me. Can we make housing? Can we give people who are working poor some type of hope or avenue to so they can, you know, do what they can to make even more money for themselves and their families. You know, like, you know, trying to get, because we always talk about the idea of lifting people with big businesses, which is true, but can we put people in a position where we can provide jobs and they can get affordable housing and all that other stuff? But that's Chris, yeah, go ahead.
Chris, let me just say this. We already have them in place, but they turned their back on us. Those people in city council, they didn't get there because they weren't friendly. They were doing things for the community. That's why we voted them in there because, hey, each and every one of them, hey, they're going to make a change. They're going to do something for our neighborhood. That's why we voted them in there. But once they got into the system, then the system told them, turn your back. And the first thing you can say is education, abatement, and crime. They're doing nothing about it. They're not investing in the youth, which I mean it could be sports. They're going to take it up. That's why I always talk about you being the czar of Philadelphia sports, because they had somebody in control of and the dealing with the police. If the police reopen all the power centers again, they could get back into the community. You don't want to kill somebody that you work with every day. See, this is the problems that we forget. I want to leave it at that because I think I said too much.
Okay, no, you said a lot. No, that's a great idea, and I do think that we need to, you know, open up that dialogue. I mean, you know, with police. Well, I like the fact that there are police athletic centers around that's going to make that. I just wish that we could do it a little bit better, but you know, that's fine. Okay, we got to go to break. We got Brother Timothy hanging there with me from South Philly on the line. Got to go to break. Got to pay some bills. And you're listening to 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Don't risk catching the flu during the COVID-19 pandemic. The flu shot is a safe and effective way of protecting you and your community from the worst of the flu. Don't say, I should have got my flu shot. Call your doctor or visit your pharmacist and get your flu shot today.
Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lantern flies, termites, bed bugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
Listen to Laborers Live. We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour work day, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager. And Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
The WURD Radio Newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our President and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio Newsletter.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. And we got a couple callers. We got Brother Timothy from South Philadelphia. How are you, man?
Hey, Brother Murray, it's always a pleasure, my man Maurice complimented Joe. I'm going to compliment Maurice. This is correct. Donald Trump keeps us on our toes. He does, and he doesn't stop. And even though a lot of people died on his watch, that's unfortunate. But he lets you know what's in America, and that's important. But let's talk.
I was going to say, 70 million people voted for him. I mean, yeah, you're right about that, man. I mean, this election told me where America stands for me. I know. Yeah. So go on, man. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say to get that.
Brother, hey, listen, man, you the boss of this, and you do a good job. But let's talk about Bruce Lee. And when Bruce Lee films came out, right? I was a young man, elementary school, middle school, and at that time, the #1 films came in Center City. They came at the Milgram and they came at the Fox. So maybe after 2 weeks they played in Center City, they would come to the Capitol in the black neighborhood. They would come to the Locust, the Nixon, the Locust and the Nixon and the Capitol. And we would wait till they would come there, right? And we would come and we would pack that movie at the Capitol and try to stay as many sessions as we could. And I said to myself, it just kept you on your toes on a Saturday and a Sunday because you had those 3 meetings to go to in your own neighborhood, and it was so safe. But my point was, I've been studying Bruce Lee all my life, and what impressed me about Bruce Lee is that he didn't mind teaching people that were not in the Asian culture the martial art. He taught Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know what I'm saying? He also taught James Coburn. He taught a few other people. And that were not in the Asian race. And he got in trouble for that, but he fought to get to that point. He even married a woman outside of the Asian race. She was a white woman. That was taboo for somebody at that time. But one thing I learned about Bruce Lee that I will always remember what he did, he studied Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson day and night. He took films of he studied Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali day and night. And one thing Bruce Lee said that he knew he couldn't beat, one person he said he thought he could not beat, that was Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali had a black belt in Taekwondo. I don't know if a lot of people knew that. And the guy who taught him, the guy by the name of John Rhee. Look it up. And people didn't know. By the time he fought the guy that he knocked out in Zaire,
George Foreman.
He'd already had the art down. So he's doing stuff that people didn't know that he was doing. He was all-time martial art with boxing, which is a martial art, and taekwondo.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you this. When people talk about Jim Kelly and they saw him die in the film Enter the Dragon, he'll tell you in his interviews the reason why he was supposed to live, but he said he didn't have enough time in film. And like John Saxon had a little bit more time in film. Really? Right, exactly. He said that was the problem. He said he didn't have enough time. I guess under the Actors Guild, you have to have a certain amount of time to say what direction you're going to. Like Denzel will always end up where he wants to be, or Samuel L. Jackson, or Morgan Freeman.
Right.
Somebody just coming out there, not unless is a way that they could somehow squeeze in to live. Somebody like my man who did The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Clint Eastwood. He started off in television and went to movies. One time he couldn't do that. You didn't do that.
Right.
You didn't go from television to movies. And certain people are able to do certain things. But I'm also going to tell you that Bruce Lee was the real deal, man. And
no doubt about it. I mean,
and you got to remember, he started off as a child actor. I don't know if people knew that. He started off in film as a child.
Right.
So So by the time he came over here, and I have some of his film in Green Hornet. He's better in Green Hornet almost than he was in any film because he was at his best. He was younger. He said one thing he didn't want to do is get older. And he died young, but he didn't want to get older because he was look, pull up some of that Green Hornet stuff, man. Whew.
Oh, I'm going to tell you something. The classic episode of Green Hornet and Batman and Robin was when Green Hornet fought Batman and Robin fought Kato. And Bruce Lee, it was just like Robin couldn't do nothing with Bruce Lee. Robin couldn't do nothing with Kato. If you're my age, you know that's one of the classic things you remember about Bruce Lee from your childhood is the fact that he thumped up poor Robin in that episode of Batman. But the thing is, Bruce Lee was an iconic figure. And, I mean, when he died, I mean, it was like a whole host of conspiracy theories. I mean, we did, like I was telling Jordan earlier, we did some stupid stuff. Like, we would get some hot coals. We tried to get some hot coals and punch our fist into them. I think I burned myself doing that. Right. But, but that's how, I mean, because we all wanted to be able to fight like Bruce Lee. I remember we had a book fair at my elementary school, and all these books about karate and Bruce Lee and all. The people fought. You had to get there to fight. I've never seen black kids fight for books like that, because but that was Bruce Lee. You had to see every movie. His movies packed. I mean, growing up in Baltimore, I mean, his movies packed. I mean, I wanted to take one of the advertisements to Enter the Dragon. I mean, not Enter it was called Fist of Fury in China, but we call it Chinese Connection here in the States. And there was a scene, the last scene of that movie, where everybody wants to kill Bruce Lee, and he jumped and he just said, "Whoa!" He jumped up and they freeze the film. That if I could ever find that on a poster, I'm gonna frame it and put it in my office at Bowie or for whatever office I have. That is just epic.
Well,
That's just one of those things.
Right? You know how he did it, right? He jumped on the trampoline. He jumped on the trampoline and he took it. He jumped on the trampoline and he took it. Yeah, but listen to me. I'll also say this to you. What I like about Bruce Lee, he let nothing stop him. He should have had the series Kung Fu, but they gave it to David Carradine. But he still didn't let that stop him. You know what he did? He couldn't do what he did in America, so he went over China and made the movies, right? And then after that, they saw how big it was, and then he comes to Warner Brothers. By that time, he was self-made. He produced it. He did a lot of the scenes. And Warner Brothers at that time wanted to take him on. And then, unfortunately, he died, man. But he let me tell you something, man. It was good. He said he felt as though that Western-style boxing was geared for the street. It was the best thing for the street. Now, don't get me wrong. He knew Wing Chun, but he didn't finish the whole system. But he knew enough. But he said Western-style boxing, and two people he studied. Remember that. Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Tim, I got to move on. I got one more call before I got to go for the day. We have Charles from Germantown. Charles, what's going on? What's on your mind?
Hey, good afternoon, my brother. Always enjoy your program. Sorry about this noise, but I have to say I applaud the professor for his hard work and efforts to get Lift Every Voice and Sing played at national ball games, etc. But I just hope that the same type of tenacity and hard work that he has put in, that we will imitate it in doing something that I think, quite frankly, is a little more meaningful, which is bringing about a better race esteem among our people. I don't think we can do that from the outside. I think I applaud him for doing it because that's what his heart led him to do, but I think it's empty symbolism. It's empty symbolism, and it's waving a red flag in front of that 77 million who voted with Donald Trump, and we don't have the substance to take the onslaught that can come from it. We got to put the same effort into building our businesses and getting our young people to get to education and all the rest. I still applaud him for doing it, but I think that there's more that we need to do.
Okay. Well, Charles, and on that note, thank you for the call. We unfortunately are out of time, so we are at the end of our show today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I do want to thank Jack McCaffrey and Mark Rufano, and I also want to thank all the callers, especially Brother Eugene out of Maryland, people like that. So thank all you guys for calling in today. So we will see you guys next week on another edition of the Chris Murray Report on WURD. Thank you, my producer, Jordan Booth, and everybody at